Hello, English speakers. Welcome to SNS. I am Martin, your English practicing partner. This shadowing practice is very helpful for learning daily conversational English, whether for class, the office, or any test or interview. Even if you are a beginner, it will be very useful for starting your English learning journey. If you found this video helpful or can relate to it, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, click the bell icon, and give the video a thumbs up. It will help other learners discover this video too. To speak fluently, it is not necessary to memorize endless grammar rules. You are here because you found the perfect solution. Today, we are going to shadow an interesting story. Don't be afraid. You don't need to memorize grammar rules, learn long vocabulary lists, or write anything down on paper. All you need to do is listen to Sir Native Speaker, repeat after me, and try to copy the rhythm and tone. In this way, you will train not only your tongue, but also your ears and mind to think like an English speaker. And soon you will notice a real change in your English. If you find any word difficult, there is no need to search on Google. I will give you the meaning, its usage, and even a simpler alternative that you can use in daily conversation. So watch the full video, and if you have a story in mind for the next practice, share it in the comments. Your suggestion will be truly valued. This story is all about courage, determination, and the importance of staying steadfast even when, as Thomas Edison once said, our greatest weakness lies in giving up. The most certain way to succeed is always to try just one more time. Keep practicing and don't give up to achieve your goal of learning English. So, stay focused, grab a cup of tea, and let's start. It was a quiet evening in a small village surrounded by green hills and golden fields. The sun had started to set, painting the sky with shades of orange and pink. In one of those fields lived a kind farmer named Thomas. He was a hard-working man who loved his land and his animals more than anything. Every morning, before the sun even touched the hills, he would wake up, feed his cows, and water his crops. Thomas lived alone in a small cottage made of old stones and wood. It wasn't fancy, but it was warm and full of peace. He grew wheat and vegetables, and whatever he earned, he used wisely. His neighbors often said, "Thomas, you never complain. You just work and smile." He would laugh softly and reply, "The land feeds me. What else do I need?" But one year, something strange began to happen. Thomas noticed that every morning part of his field was ruined. Plants were dug up and the soil was turned upside down. "Oh no," he sighed, bending down to look at the mess. "What's going on here?" At first, he thought it might be rabbits or wild boars, but when he looked closely, he saw deep claw marks and small tracks. He whispered. "This looks like a badger's work." Thomas didn't hate animals. In fact, he loved them. But this badger was causing real damage. Days passed, and every morning the same thing happened. The farmer grew more and more worried. "If this continues," he said to himself, "I'll have nothing left to sell." One evening, as the sky turned dark and the crickets began to sing, Thomas sat near his field, waiting quietly. The moonlight fell gently on the crops, and the cool wind brushed against his face. Then, from the bushes at the edge of the field, he heard a rustle. Slowly, a small badger came out. It was gray and brown, with shiny eyes and a pointed nose. It looked hungry and weak. The badger sniffed around, searching for something to eat. Thomas whispered softly, "So it's you, little one." He stood up and the badger froze. "Don't run," Thomas said calmly, holding out his hand. "I won't hurt you." But the badger got scared and ran back into the woods. The next morning, the farmer found another part of his field destroyed. This time, he sighed deeply. "I can't go on like this. I must do something." He decided to set a trap, not to kill the badger, but just to catch it and take it far away from his land. That night, he set a small wooden cage near the edge of the field and put some food inside. "Let's see if this works," he said. By the next morning, the badger was inside the trap. It looked frightened, its little eyes wide open. Thomas looked at it for a moment. "You poor thing," he said softly. "You were only looking for food, weren't you?" The badger didn't answer, of course, but it looked at him sadly, almost as if it understood. Thomas took the cage, placed it in his cart, and began walking toward the forest. "Don't worry," he said. "I'll take you somewhere safe, a place where you can dig all you want and no one will stop you." After a long walk, he reached a quiet part of the woods. The trees were tall, the air was cool, and there was a stream nearby. He opened the cage. The badger stepped out slowly, turned back once, and looked at the farmer. Then it ran into the trees and disappeared. Thomas smiled. "Goodbye, little one. I hope you stay safe." For a few days, everything went back to normal. The crops grew well again, and Thomas was happy. But one night, heavy rain fell. It poured down for hours, flooding parts of the village. The next morning, the farmer went out to check his field, and his heart sank. The rain had washed away part of his fence, and some of his animals had run off. "Oh God," he whispered, "not again. What am I going to do now?" He worked the whole day, fixing what he could. But as night fell, he heard a strange scratching sound near his barn. He took his lantern and stepped outside. To his surprise, he saw the same badger standing near the barn door. "What are you doing here again?" he asked, half surprised, half tired. The badger didn't run away this time. Instead, it walked toward him slowly and then turned its head toward the woods, as if asking him to follow. Thomas frowned. "You want me to come with you?" The badger made a small sound and started walking toward the forest, stopping every few steps to look back. Curious and a bit worried, Thomas followed. They walked through the wet grass and muddy paths until they reached a hollow log near a large tree. Inside, Thomas saw something shining. He bent down, brought the lantern closer, and gasped. It was a box, small but heavy. When he opened it, he found coins, silver pieces, and an old pendant. His eyes widened. What in the world? The badger looked at him and then at the box, as if saying, "Take it." Thomas couldn't believe it. He picked up the box and whispered, "You brought me this?" The badger blinked slowly, then turned and walked back into the darkness of the forest. For a long moment, Thomas stood there, speechless. Then he smiled softly. "You're not such a bad badger after all." The next day, Thomas went to the village chief and showed him the box. The chief said it must have belonged to an old traveler who had disappeared many years ago. Since no one came to claim it, the treasure legally belonged to Thomas. With the money, Thomas repaired his barn, bought new tools, and even helped his neighbors fix their fences after the storm. Everyone admired his kindness. "You're a good man, Thomas," they said, but he would just smile and reply, "Sometimes kindness comes back to you in the most unexpected ways." Weeks passed, and every night Thomas would leave a small bowl of milk near the edge of his field. "For my little friend," he would say. And though he never saw the badger again, the milk was always gone by morning. One quiet evening, as he watched the sunset, he thought about the strange events of that season. He whispered to himself, "Life has its own way of teaching us. I wanted to chase that badger away, but it turned out to be my blessing." He smiled, feeling a deep peace in his heart. The land was green again. The animals were safe, and the air was filled with the sound of crickets and wind through the wheat. Thomas leaned back on his wooden chair, looked up at the sky, and said softly, "Thank you, my friend, wherever you are." The story of Thomas and the badger became famous in the village. Parents told their children, "Be kind, even when others cause you trouble. You never know what good may come from it." And for years, the villagers would say that on quiet nights, when the moon was full, a badger could be seen near Thomas's field, sitting still, as if keeping watch over the man who once showed it mercy. The story ends there, but its lesson remains clear. True kindness doesn't expect a reward, yet it often returns when least expected. Forgiveness and compassion can turn enemies into friends, and sometimes even a wild badger can remind us of that truth. Now it's time to explain the meanings of the difficult words used in the story, along with their usage and one simple alternative that you can use in your daily conversations to make your English sound more natural and attractive. Word number 1, perplexed, meaning completely confused or puzzled. Example, the farmer looked perplexed when he saw his crops destroyed again. Alternative, confused, puzzled. Word number 2, determined, meaning very sure about achieving something, having a firm decision or strong will not to give up. Example, Thomas was determined to find out who was ruining his field. Alternative, resolute, strong-minded. Word number 3, astonished, meaning very surprised or amazed. Example, Thomas was astonished to see the badger leading him through the forest. Alternative, surprised, shocked. Word number 4, compassionate, meaning showing deep care and kindness toward others. Example, the compassionate farmer decided not to harm the badger. Alternative, kind, caring. Word number 5, trembled, meaning shook slightly because of fear, cold, or nervousness. Example, the badger trembled when the farmer came closer. Alternative, shook, quivered. Word number 6, mysterious, meaning difficult to understand or explain, full of secrets. Example, the badger's sudden return felt mysterious to the farmer. Alternative, strange or secretive. Word number 7, disappeared, meaning went out of sight, could no longer be seen. Example, the badger disappeared into the dark forest. Alternative, vanished, gone. Word number 8, hesitated, meaning paused before doing something, often from fear or doubt. Example, Thomas hesitated before opening the old box in the hollow log. Alternative, paused or delayed. Word number 9, grateful, meaning feeling thankful for something good that happened. Example, the farmer felt grateful for the strange gift the badger brought him. Alternative, thankful or appreciative. That's all for today's lesson. I hope you enjoyed the story and learned some new words and expressions. Keep practicing every day and you'll see great improvement in your English. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and click the bell icon so you don't miss any future lessons. Thank you so much for watching. Stay motivated, keep learning, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye and take care.